Welcome to Understand the Math. In this video, I'll show you how to divide polynomials using long division. We'll start by breaking down the steps and then go through a few examples, including cases where terms are missing or where there is a remainder. By the end, you'll know how to apply long division to simplify expressions and solve polynomial problems with confidence. Let's get started. I've listed some steps that we can follow just to make things easier. Let's start with our first example. We're going to divide x cubed minus 7x plus 6 by x minus 2. The first thing that we're going to do is set up our division problem. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to write down first what we're dividing by, and that's x minus 2, and then we're dividing x minus 2 into our polynomial x cubed minus 7x plus 6. Before we write this down, I want you to notice that we have no x squared term here. So because of that, we want to write down 0 times x squared when we write this down. So we'll write down x cubed plus 0x squared minus 7x plus 6. So whenever you're missing a term, you want to include it and put a 0 in front of it. The x minus 2 is called the divisor. And then our polynomial, x cubed plus 0x squared minus 7x plus 6, that is called our dividend. Now let's go on to our next step. It says that we are going to divide the leading terms. Let me highlight for you what the leading terms are. The leading term in our divisor is x, and then the leading term in our dividend is x cubed. Over here on the right, I'm going to take x cubed, and I'm going to divide it by x, and we get x squared. The reason that we're doing that is that it tells us that x squared is what we're going to have to multiply by. So if we multiply x times x squared, we're going to get x cubed. So we're going to put an x squared here, and we're going to multiply x by it, and we get x cubed. Now we have to multiply minus 2 by that as well. So we get minus 2x squared. Now we're going to subtract. I always like to use a different color when I subtract. So we're going to subtract x cubed minus 2x squared. So this becomes a negative, and then we have a minus a negative, so that becomes a positive. And that gives us 0, which I'm not going to write down, and then we have 2x squared. If we look back up at our steps, that was our multiply and subtract step. Now our next step is to bring down the next term. You can bring down the next term, or you can also decide to just bring down all the terms. Sometimes I think that's easier. So let's just bring them all down, and we have a minus 7x plus 6. Now we're going to go on to the next step, and that just says to repeat. So we're going to repeat exactly what we did. Our leading term is now 2x squared. So we're going to take 2x squared, and we're dividing it by x, and we get 2x. So that's what we're going to multiply by. So up at the top, we're going to say plus 2x, and then we'll multiply each term by 2x. X times 2x is 2x squared, and then we have a minus 2 times 2x gives us a minus 4x. Draw our line, and now we're going to subtract. So this is a minus, and then we have a minus 4, so that becomes a plus. And then 2x squared minus 2x squared is 0, so we won't write that down. Then we have a minus 7x plus 4 is a minus 3x. And then we'll go ahead and bring down our 6. So we have a plus 6. Now we're going to do it again. Let me go ahead and let's highlight our new leading term. That's a minus 3x. Over on the right, we have minus 3x divided by x, and that's minus 3. So we know we're going to multiply by minus 3. So we write that up at the top, minus 3. And then we're going to multiply x times minus 3, and we get a minus 3x. And then minus 2 times minus 3 gives us a plus 6. Now we're going to subtract. This becomes a plus and a minus, and we end up with a 0. The 0 is called our remainder. And the next problem that I'm going to do will have a remainder that's not 0. And then I want to tell you one more vocabulary word before we go on. The solution that we ended up with was x squared plus 2x minus 3, and that is called our quotient. And then let's write down in red what our answer is. So our answer is the polynomial x squared plus 2x minus 3. And we could check our answer by taking this, multiplying it by x minus 2, and we'll get back x cubed minus 7x plus 6. Let's now look at our next example. Let's begin by setting up our division problem. We're going to be dividing by x plus 4, so I'm going to write that down first. And then we're going to divide this into our polynomial. Let's quickly look at our polynomial and see if we're missing any terms. We have a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1, and then a 0. So all the terms are there, so we don't need to insert any 0 times an x. And let's just go ahead and write down our polynomial. We have 3x to the 4th plus 10x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x minus 1. So kind of a long problem, but it won't be too bad. Now that we set up the division, we are going to divide the leading terms. On our first example, I wrote this down, but when you get used to doing this, you don't have to write this down, so I'm not going to write it down now. I'm just going to walk you through verbally what I do. I'm going to take our leading term, 3x to the 4th, and divide it by x in my head, and that gives us 3x cubed. So that's what we're going to multiply by, and let's do that now. X times 3x cubed is 3x to the 4th, and then we have a 4 times 3x cubed, so we get 12x cubed. Now we're going to subtract. So this gives us a 0, and then 10 minus 12 is minus 2x cubed. And then these next three terms are just going to come on down. So we have a minus 5x squared plus 2x minus 1. Now let's do it again. We are going to take minus 2x cubed divided by x, and we get a minus 2x squared. Now we can multiply. X times minus 2x squared is minus 2x cubed. And then 4 times negative 2 is minus 8x squared. Now we're going to subtract. Since we have some negatives, I'm going to write this in. So we're going to subtract. So this becomes positive and that becomes positive. And that gives us a 0. And then a minus 5 plus 8 gives us a 3x squared. And then these two terms come on down. So we have a plus 2x minus 1. Let's give us a little bit more space. This is our new leading term. We're going to divide it by x, and that gives us a plus 3x. Now we'll multiply, and we get 3x squared. And then we have a 4 times a 3x, and that gives us a 12x. And we're going to subtract. So this becomes a negative and a negative. And this gives us a minus 10x, and then our negative 1 comes on down as a minus 1. One more division to do. Our next leading term is minus 10x. Minus 10x divided by x is a minus 10, so let's write that down up top. And that gives us a minus 10x, and then we have 4 times minus 10 is minus 40. We're going to do one more subtraction. Hang with me. So we have a minus and negative, so that becomes plus, and this gives us a 39. That is our remainder, and we're going to have to include that remainder in our solution. So let me write down what our answer is. Our answer is going to look like this. It's the polynomial that we got up top called the quotient, and that is 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x minus 10. And then now we have to do something with the remainder. Our remainder is going to be 39, and we have to remember that this 39 is divided by x plus 4. So we're going to write it as 39 divided by x plus 4. And that's our final answer. I hope that this helps you learn how to divide polynomials using long division. This technique is going to come up in further mathematics, including calculus.
If this video has been helpful to you, please consider subscribing to my channel. Keep believing in yourself and have a great rest of your day.